Alright, friends, what I have here is a case. This is one of those small form factor cases. A lot of these came from work. Right now it is completely empty because the motherboard that is in it went to another project, but I'm going to reuse this for, well, another project. So I had, at one point in time, a Raspberry Pi 4 with a touchscreen, and I was using that as sort of like a WDS Bridge. Or in other terms, something that connected to my wireless network and broke it out in an Ethernet that I could then plug a computer into, completely isolated from my home network, but I could actually, get online with it and do all kinds of other things. I don't know where that Raspberry Pi went. The power supply is sitting down there, the Ethernet cable is sitting down there, it's kind of torn up, but the actual Pi system unit itself has disappeared, and I don't know if someone came in here and stole it. Wouldn't surprise me. This garage door has been left open several times by people who don't know any better. Or if maybe it got pitched. Again, there's been a non-zero amount of that happening to my stuff because no one cares about my stuff. I just saved something from meeting that same fate, or was going to meet that same fate recently. Again, stupidity of the people around here, but we're not going to get into that on this video. So, fine. If that's the game that they want to play, then I'm going to replace it with something that's even more power hungry and takes up even more space. Too bad for you. So, I'm going to get some parts for this. I have some parts for this. This is the wireless card that I'm going to use. Nothing special or anything like that. This is an Intel card. It's a dual band wireless AC card. Should work fine. I've got the slot cover situation figured out. I don't really like that cover, but I don't have any more of these ones that this would use. I've left this one open because I'm going to be putting the card there. The motherboard that I'm going to use is this. It's just sitting around. I don't remember what all this is, or if it even works. For that matter, I guess we'll find out. But it's got onboard video and Ethernet. And a PCI Express slot, so it's pretty much got everything that I need. So, it's the thing that presented itself first, so it's the thing that I'm going to use first. I had an SSD sitting around, or I thought I brought an SSD out with me. I know I have a couple of them that were sitting around. I think there's a few of them sitting here. I don't know that I want to waste a 250 gig SSD on something like this. I suppose I have that option if I want to go that route. But I had a 128, and I don't know where it went. I'm going to have to go and look for it, because I wanted to use it for this project. And of course a bag of screws that I can pilfer from, so I can hopefully install this in the case. Alright, cutting straight to the chase here. I think we've got everything ready to go. I have my network card installed. I've got my SSD installed. This case had a 1 terabyte hard drive also installed, and I'm going to leave that because I'm going to use that for the automatic backups. Because my plan for this is actually to try and run Linux and use Linux Mint in particular to do this instead of Windows. I think that might be a better option for long term. If not, then I'll have to get like a Windows 7 DVD out here or something, I don't know. Because I don't really think Windows 10 on a system like this would be a great idea. Because this isn't exactly a high-end system. I think that, at best, that's a Core 2 Quad Q6600. I think it's only like a dual-core E6320 or something, if I remember right, on this P5L-MX motherboard from Asus. But I think we're all hooked up. Pay no mind to the fact that those screws are all different. I'm using what I have sitting around to make this work. If I were not just building something from scratch on a budget that runs to nil, in fact, as lower than nil, really, well, I guess not. Well, maybe actually, yeah, because I'm going to make some money off of making this YouTube video, so I guess the budget does run below nil, because I will make some money off of this. Probably not much, if past trends are any indication, but every little bit helps, and this should work. I think I've got the power LED plugged in correctly, but I'm not 100% sure. So I'm going to go take this over to my testing area and plug it in and see if it actually works at all. Alright, should be ready to go. Now when this is in its home, which is probably going to be in that little nook right there, I will need to use a USB keyboard and a USB mouse as opposed to the PS2 ones because you can't really hot plug those. But at least for the initial setup, this should be good. I have my Linux Mint USB connected to the machine. Let's go ahead and power up, and let's see if the CMOS battery is actually any good. I did see the keyboard lights flash. I have a green standby LED. I have no power, so I think I know why. I think the switch is in the wrong place. Let me see here. How is this done? Well, there we go. That'll work. Beep. Good. Should tell me that the battery is dead. Yeah, CMOS settings wrong, so I am going to have to replace that battery, but for right now, why are those backwards? Well, whatever, doesn't matter. I'm going to set this thing up properly, but I did want to check. Let's see here. Wow, it's even worse than I thought. A Core 2 Duo E4300 with only 1 gig of RAM. Ouch. Okay. Well, we'll see how Linux performs with only 1 gig of RAM, but that might put the brakes on my using this particular motherboard for this project. Okay, exit saving changes. Now this is an Asus board, so F8 should get me my boot menu. I hope. And I want to boot to the PNY USB. Start Linux Mint. And let's see how bad that actually performs. With only 1 gig of RAM with a 64-bit version, it's probably not going to be great. So we'll just take a look. It's trying to mount drives. It's having a problem doing that because they're not cleanly unmounted. It's running Windows 10, so it's probably, you know, one of those stupid, ridiculous fast boot features that Microsoft has decided is just all the rage now. Well, it booted up pretty quickly, actually. For only having 1 gig of RAM, that's actually not nearly as bad as I thought it was going to be. In fact, I'm quite impressed for only 1 gig of RAM with 64-bit Windows. 64-bit Linux. 64-bit anything, really. It does see my wireless card, so that's good. Now, my network. How good of a signal am I getting? It's not bad. There's an access point just on the other side of this wall, so it should be okay. So I'm going to connect that to my network, and we'll go ahead and go through the install process. Well, it was working. It was working well. But now it's locked up. It has completely locked up. So I think I'm going to go back to the drawing board and use a different motherboard on this. I'll see what I have sitting around, but I don't know. I really don't know what I've got sitting around in here anymore. So take two. With a Gigabyte H55 board. That's what this is. Again, we got a bad battery, so I'm going to have to change it out anyway. But this has 4 gigs of RAM. It's an i3 530. And it looks like everything else is working. So I'm going to set this up, and we'll boot Linux again and see what happens. Okay, we're now at the install process, and I realize I'm still going to need some things. Number one, I need a battery. Number two, I'm going to need a network cable, an Ethernet cable that I'm going to use on this. I have the Ethernet cable from the Raspberry Pi. That's still sitting around, as is the power brick, or at least it used to be. I don't know where they would have gone from here. but they should be somewhere around here. I wanted to show you the Ethernet cable because the Ethernet cable is just kind of, well, I'm kind of amazed that it actually still works. Along the same lines that I'm amazed this mouse still works. For basically exactly the same reason. Amazing stuff. But, so I'm going to let this install. I'm going to at least do the full install now. And then I'll probably revisit this at some point. Well, I'm not going to revisit it. It'll still be in this video because I still have a lot of configuration I need to do. But I want to get the install done tonight. And maybe get some of the things done tonight. But I don't really think I need to do much with this. I just want to get the install done. So that way I know that this is going to work and that everything is going to be just fine. See the disc LED going off there. Looks like everything is just kind of working. I had other things I wanted to get to, but my sunlight is gone, and the fact that the sunlight is gone means that the mosquitoes are out in full force, so I don't want to spend too much more time out here than I have to. Alright, installation finished. Let's reboot. Okay, I didn't deadlock. There we go. So we'll pull out that USB. I don't know why there's so many LEDs on that thing for all that stuff, but apparently there is. So let's see if it just boots without any intervention, or if we have a problem. Looks like it's probably just going to boot. It's pretty fast for that being an incredibly cheap SSD. That's just an Apacer. What they call an Apacer in SATA flash disk. So again, I'm kind of shocked at how fast it really is. Welcome to Mint. Alright, let's go. So that's all fine. I'm going to set up the snapshots, which means I gotta put in my password here. Actually, no, I can't set up the snapshots yet. What I need to do first is I need to set up my second drive. Here at doing stuff. There's our file system. I want to edit the mount options. Mount at startup. It should identify itself as disk by label backups. Sure. That's going to ask for the password again. Okay. Mount that. There it is. Now we should be able to come in and set up snapshots. Alright, rsync type. Well, that's taking a while. It shouldn't be a particularly large system. It's just a fresh install. I haven't done anything to it yet. Alright, snapshot location should be there, SDB1. We're going to keep 5. Okay, coming back to this thing. Looks like we are completely functional. We're running our operating system. It is still only version 21, but that should be fine. Now, I don't remember exactly where this information is, but I want to create a connection and share the Ethernet from this, or, sorry, share the wireless over the Ethernet, sort of like internet connection sharing on Windows. And there is a way to do this under Linux Mint, I just don't remember how to do it. Okay, I think I actually was in the right place. Let's go back to that thing, edit connections. We'll go back to our Ethernet here. IPv4, we'll set to shared to other computers. We'll hit save. Supposedly, that should be good enough to get this working. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm actually going to reboot the computer. And I'm going to go get a laptop. I have a network cable, and we'll try it out. Okay, I have this laptop here that actually has an Ethernet jack. And I've turned the wireless off. Let's go ahead and plug the network, which is also plugged into this. Let's go ahead, well, it would help if you plug it in on the right side. And we'll connect that. We have a link. And it looks like it's actually working. The computer did say a connection was established over here. Wireless Ethernet, yeah, it's there. So on this thing, let's see what we've got. Wire connection 1 is active. We're getting an address, that's good. Let's see if we have any internet connectivity. Because we should, because the internet is working on this. At least in theory. I suppose I should check that too. I don't know why it takes so long to launch Firefox on Linux, but it does. Yeah, that's definitely working. Well, here comes Firefox. Mozilla privacy policy. Is it actually loading? It looks like it is. You are in control of your data. Yeah, it looks like we are loading and we are working. So yeah, it is really that easy. And I verified as well that that will persist over a reboot, because I rebooted the machine and it's still working. So I can put the cover on this, put it under there, and this should still work. It is a little on the sluggish side. I'm not sure why it's on the sluggish side, but that could just be this laptop. Right, as I expected, it fits like a glove. I've got no keyboard and no monitor plugged in. Let's see what it happens to do. If I can find a power here, this will work. Should automatically power on, which it did. There's the beep. So I'll give it like another minute or so to just boot, and we'll see what happens. Okay, so just went ahead and checked the Ethernet. I don't have a lot of battery on this laptop. It's connected, although Firefox seems to be behaving a little strangely. The computer itself seems to be behaving a little strangely. Let's see if this still loads. This is transferring data. Yeah, it looks like it's loading. So it looks like we're working. So I verified that, yes, I can boot this up completely headless, and that's pretty much all she wrote for that. So I now have a working, basically I now have a working network out here. Once again, hopefully I can find that Raspberry Pi, and I can just go back to using that, although I needed to run updates on it anyway, because it was running an outdated operating system that needs some updates, but at least this works. So I'd like to thank you for watching, and if you have any comments, feel free to leave them below.